Greetings, this is episode 11 and we're going to focus on foot care for the 100 miler in our series on how to run a sub 30 hour 100 miler. Foot care is a huge concern for ultra runners, especially once you get over the 50-kilometer range. Statistic that might be interesting to you is that about 35 to 40% in any given race of runners who do not finish cite foot care problems as the reason for withdrawing or not qualifying at some cutoff. So it's a huge problem, as as many of you know. We've all had those issues, and I'll look at some of them in a second. The stakes are so high. For many of us, we run anywhere from 800 to 1,200 miles in preparation, and that's just in the distance training. Your base training before that might be another 400 or 500 miles. So you could be looking at 2,000 miles, and some people more, in preparation. But every step that you take in those 1,000 to 2,000 miles is a step that puts pressure on your feet, and so you can understand why it's such a big problem. You put so much time into running, and all those long hours, and to be fit enough and to have the stamina and all that, and then to still not finish the race because of your feet. That's almost depressing. But I've seen many runners who have been quite fit and probably better trained than myself, take themselves out of races, and it's sad. So let's look at some of the main reasons that we end up having to treat with foot care problems. Blisters obviously are very important to avoid. They start usually as a hot spot, so you notice them early. You've got to get on it. You've got to fix it right then and there. A lot of us don't want to take the 5 minutes it's going to take to really, put a Band-Aid on it or some duct tape. So just because we wouldn't spend those 5 minutes, we end up not finishing the race. It's not worth it. Suck it up, tape it up, deal with it as it starts to be sensitive before it becomes a blister. But once it's a blister, obviously you got to take some more drastic action. And right there, I'm seeing more and more people using duct tape now. Obviously, you might lance the blister if it needs to be lanced. If not, but you put some padding on, put some duct tape over that. That's going to stick like glue. There's no way that's coming off, and it's nice and smooth, so there's less friction in the area as well. So I'm going to be trying that on my training sessions coming up. The next big issues that I've dealt with, and a lot of people deal with, is some kind of tendonitis in the big toe, and that's a battle I have fought for the last 2 years. And it's usually due to overextension of the big toe. As you pushing off onto your next step, your shoes might not be rigid enough, and because of that, it allows the toe to overextend, and over time it gets inflamed. The fluid in that socket seems to be reduced, and it's painful. It's really difficult to run with that. So deal with that up front with your bandaging and taping. And bruising. Bruising's another big one. A lot of this you're going to deal with on your training runs anyway, so you'll know what to do. Train on the kind of terrain that you will be running on, obviously, and that'll give you that experience. But the bruising a lot of times comes from running on uneven terrain, maybe rocky, and not having the right shoes with the right protection on the sole, and you end up, sometimes foregoing that protection on purpose so that you can run faster. But believe me, there's nothing like running on tender feet. I've done that, and it's miserable. There are a lot of other reasons that foot care is important, and they kind of indirectly relate to the foot care. Plantar fasciitis obviously is a huge problem for some people. And, some of that can be dealt with by exercises that are designed to help you in that area. But again, take a look at your shoes. Are they the right shoes for the kind of running you do and your gait and your style? Be careful. You got to be conscious of how you run, and make sure that you don't cheap out on your shoes. Get the shoes that are going to work, that are going to protect your feet. As I said, it's a big investment of time, and you don't want to flame out unnecessarily. Achilles heel problems also come up, and again, shoes, the kind of terrain you're running on, not paying attention to foot placement, things like that. So be careful of all of those. This next video tells a little bit about my preparation as I get ready for a longer run. Some of the things that I think about, my rationales, and so it's pretty simplistic, but it's worth including in this session. Here's the video. So as I'm getting ready for one of my long runs here, as I train for the 100-miler that we'll be running in January of 2022. And foot management is so important. If your feet aren't right, it's very difficult to run distance. Now, it seems simple enough to manage your feet and watch for hurting toes and the issues that come up with blisters and so on. But there's a compounding factor when you run distance. Once you get up there around 15 to 20 miles, your feet tend to swell. And it's just it's just a human condition. You're putting lots and lots of pressure on your feet as you pound on the pavement and the sand, and slowly but surely fluid builds up in your feet and they swell. So what you have to do is you've got to buy your shoes about a size bigger than you normally would. So I've just switched out shoes. I've just changed from these 11s, size 11s. The front of the toes are very rigid, and it's not a wide shoe. They recommend a wide shoe instead as your feet swell. And it's really nicely padded, but the problem is that toe box causes all kinds of problems that you have to deal with. And so far, I have 4 toes that have gone black, and that's just in 5 weeks. So more to come. But you can see, these are the new shoes I bought. These are the New Balance 680s, and they're really well padded. Their toe box is fantastic because it stretches. As you can see, that fabric is very malleable, and it's a size bigger. It's a size 12, which is wonderful. I've only run in them once so far. They're brand new, but I love them already. As you go, you've also, you're going to be taping up sore spots as you need to make sure that there's no additional friction so they can hold. So before I start running, even before I put my foot in my sock, I'm already taping up toes. I'm using Band-Aids to cover sore spots as in old blisters so they don't re-aggravate. And I even use some of these cotton balls or cotton rounds that are very important there to absorb fluids and between my toes. So, there's a lot of management that goes on here for your feet. One of my secrets here is I do use talcum powder or baby powder, and I put that right in the shoe, and I also sprinkle it between my toes, which keeps my toes a little drier. You just have to pay attention, even during the run. because new issues come up as you run, and you just got to be ready. Now, I won't take the talcum with me, but I'll take some Band-Aids, some tape, and some cotton wool with me, so that if something happens and a change of socks, I can easily switch out or make some adjustments. So, there's a lot of thinking that goes into this, because you're dealing with some severe stress on your body. So I thought I'd share that with you. I was ready, as you can see, and so should you be. And you can only learn that by going through the training and doing the right things, and doing research and watching videos like this. And it's a serious endeavor, and the more serious you are about taking care of yourself preventively, the more likely it is you'll have a more pleasant time where you can have fun and you don't have to be so serious. The rewards are tremendous. Yeah, this next video is a video I shot showing how I taped up my feet in terms of prevention. Now, it looks a little drastic. Obviously, as I talked earlier about the tendonitis, I brace my big toes so that they don't have too much motion when I push off from them, so it protects that overextension. But beyond that, I learned where my major potential pressure points on my feet are, and preventively, tape sponges and padding to those areas. We all have a sense of how we run and where our feet are getting challenged and so forth. Just padding alone makes a huge difference in how long you can run without pain. Now, having said all of that, regardless of having the kind of taping that I have, I still end up with quite a bit of foot pain, in that 70 to 100 mile range. And that's pretty normal. I mean, your feet are going through hell, and the goal is to kind of push that pain threshold way out there, so that you can deal with most of the low-level pain, but it's that real acute pain that comes in the latter stages that does get people as well. So better to be prepared and to pad preventively, as you'll see here. So we are less than an hour away from running the 100K, and as you can see, I'm just finished up taping my feet. I'll show you one, and basically we do the same for both feet. I brace the toe, the big toe, which is the big problem for the tendonitis. It runs up here. So I reduce the motion of that big toe so that it doesn't bend too far on the run, because as you get more and more tired, the more it bends, and then the tendonitis sets in. So, and you got extra sponges underneath. This is the big impact where I run. And then, blister protection in general. And as you can see, both feet quite padded there for extra protection. Up to 30 miles or 50K, your feet do take a pounding, but it's really from 30 to 60 or from 50 to 100K that one sees, the real pain in terms of your feet. So you got to be ready. Of course, anti-inflammatories help too. So. I know that must look very painful, and you must be asking yourself, why in the hell would he do that? Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's all preventive, and so without that, I'll have a lot more pain going forward, and a lot of people can get away with less taping than that and less padding. Shoes are a big issue. Whatever you get used to. But there are methods where you can address and maybe protect yourself longer into the run and but there is no avoiding the pain. You will end up with foot pain. Just don't take yourself out of the race just because of foot pain, unless it's really serious. Obviously only you can judge that. Your crew can help you there, especially in the latter stages where you're not thinking straight. So pay attention every step of the way and make good decisions. So that's the end of the 11 episode, and so stay tuned for 12, the final segment, and we are almost through, and you are well on your way to mastering the 100 if you can apply all these lessons. And I'm so glad you joined us. Please subscribe and watch the final episode.